Little Red Riding Minnie. Once upon a time, there was a kind-hearted girl who was loved by all who knew her. Her grandmother had made her a cape of red wool as a gift. The girl wore it so often that her family and friends began to call her Little Red Riding Minnie. One day, Little Red Riding Minnie learned that her grandmother was sick with a bad cold. She decided to bake a batch of her famous oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. Those were sure to make her grandmother feel better. After the cookies had cooled, Little Red Riding Minnie put them in a tin. Then she packed a bunch of super strong metal cough drops in another tin. She thought her grandmother could probably use some of those too. Little Red Riding Minnie put both things into her basket and set out for her grandmother's house. The route to her grandmother's house took Little Red Riding Minnie through the center of town, right down Main Street, which was a very busy shopping area. Little Red Riding Minnie loved saying hello to the shopkeepers as she passed their stores. She was enjoying her walk very much. Then, just as she passed the post office, who should jump out of an alley and block her path but Big Bad Pig. "Hello, Red," he said with a smirk. "And where might you be headed with the big basket?" Now, Big Bad Pig was known to everyone around town as a scoundrel. He was certainly the last person Little Red Riding Minnie would have wanted to meet on her way to her grandmother's house. But Little Red Riding Minnie tried to be polite to everyone, and that included Big Bad Pig. "Well, if you must know," Little Red Riding Minnie replied, hugging her basket tightly, "I'm bringing some of my famous oatmeal chocolate chip cookies to my grandmother. She has terrible cold. Now, if you'll excuse me," and with that, Little Red Riding Minnie hurried away. As Big Bad Pig watched her go, his mouth began to water. Little Red Riding Minnie's oatmeal chocolate chip cookies were famously delicious. Big Bad Pig had to get his hands on those cookies, even if it meant tricking Little Red Riding Minnie. So, while Little Red Riding Minnie continued along Main Street, stopping to window shop here and talk to shopkeepers there, Big Bad Pig dug down an alley, raced along the back streets, and zipped through some side yards. Big Bad Pig arrived at Little Red Riding Minnie's grandmother's house way ahead of Little Red Riding Minnie. He knew he had to come up with a plan. As he hurried up the front walk, Big Bad Pig spotted the grandmother's washi hanging out to dry on the clothesline in the side yard. He said as he came up with a crafty plan to get the cookies. Big Bad Pig grabbed the grandmother's clean clothing and hid behind the house. He would be ready for Little Red Riding Minnie when she arrived. Minutes later, Little Red Riding Minnie skipped up the front walk toward her grandmother's front door. She was singing to herself and didn't notice anything unusual. Before she could knock, Big Bad Pig jumped out from behind a bush. He was disguised in her grandmother's clothing. "Oh, hello, little Red Riding Minnie," Big Bad Pig squeaked, trying to sound like her grandmother. "Have you come to pay your grandmother a visit?" "Why, yes," little Red Riding Minnie stammered. "Grandmother's cold must be very bad, indeed," she thought. "She looks awful, and I have never heard her sound so squeaky." Little Red Riding Minnie looked more closely at her grandmother and started to notice some peculiar things. Something was definitely not right. "Grandmother," Little Red Riding Minnie said, "what big ears you have!" "All the better to hear you with, my dear," Big Bad Pig replied in his best grandmother voice. "And what big eyes you have!" Little Red Riding Minnie exclaimed. Big Bad Pig crept closer to her. "All the better to see you with, my dear," he squeaked. "And what big teeth you have!" Little Red Riding Minnie continued. Big Bad Pig moved even closer. Now he was right over her. "All the better to eat your famous oatmeal chocolate chip cookies with, my dear," he shouted. And with that, Big Bad Pig snatched a thing out of Little Red Riding Minnie's basket, threw off his disguise, and began to laugh wickedly. "Ha ha ha! I tricked you. Now your cookies are all mine." As Little Red Riding Minnie looked on, Big Bad Pig pulled off the cover of the tin, threw his head back, and emptied the entire contents into his mouth. Too bad for Big Bad Pig. It was the wrong thing. It took only a few seconds before the super strong metal cough drops began to work their magic. Big Bad Pig's face turned bright pink and his eyes got large. He ran down the front walk and away from Little Red Riding Minnie. He needed to find a drink of water. Just then, Little Red Riding Minnie's real grandmother opened the door. "Oh, hello, dear," she said, as she dabbed at her nose with a handkerchief. "Is everything all right?" "Oh, yes, grandmother," Little Red Riding Minnie replied. "Everything is just fine." So Little Red Riding Minnie had a pleasant visit with her grandmother, who greatly enjoyed the oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. Little Red Riding Minnie left the recipe with her grandmother and walked home, stopping to say hello to some friends along the way. Meanwhile, Big Bad Pig decided that Little Red Riding Minnie's cookies were not all they were cracked up to be. As he drank bucket after bucket of water, he vowed never to scare anyone for their famously delicious cookies ever again.